If you're new to building websites with WordPress, it can be overwhelming to understand how it works and what all the moving parts do. And if you want to build beautiful and professional websites, well, instead of having to code or install multiple plugins, one tool can make your life easier, and that tool is called Spectra, a powerful yet easy to use drag and drop visual website builder built on top of the WordPress editor. With Spectra, you won't need separate plugins for small things like coming soon mode, pop-ups, and so on. Spectra has it all. Today, let's break down what Spectra is, why you should use it, and what are the basic principles of this website builder. Hello, I'm Kay from the Spectra team, and today I will share with you the basic principles of the Spectra visual website builder for WordPress. So in this video, we will talk about the basic principles of building a website with WordPress, then we'll talk about why Spectra was created, what it is, and why you should use it. And finally, I'll show you how to get started with Spectra. Now, if you want more web design and WordPress goodness, make sure you give this video a thumbs up because it really helps growing the channel. And if you don't want to miss out on future releases, just hit subscribe and smash the notification bell. Okay, let's start with the basics of building websites with WordPress. Now, first of all, a website is just a bunch of pages. You have the home page and then secondary pages. And usually these pages consist of a header, then you have the content area, and then you got your footer. And this is pretty much what you'll find on each page of a website. Now, what all these pages are really is just code, files, and images all working together to present information. Then you put all of that on a server on the internet with public access, and what you get is a website that you can see through what is called a web browser. So back in the day, building websites wasn't accessible to just anyone because it wasn't that easy. But as usual, the solution came through software with blogging tools and content management systems, or CMSs. And that's where WordPress comes in, because WordPress does all the hard work by packaging all the files, code, and images that you previously had to create and connect manually. Not only that, but it comes with a ton of options to make your life easier. Now, WordPress is the software, but it needs a way to display your website design and content. And it does so through what is called a WordPress theme. Now, there are plenty of WordPress themes. Just on the WordPress.org website, you'll find more than 11,000 WordPress themes. And if you go on other platforms, you can also find some premium ones. And those WordPress themes come in all shapes, sizes, and colors, and they come with many different options. Now, there's nothing wrong with that at core, but the issue is each theme was so different, so the options would be in a different place, you wouldn't have the same options, and it was like reinventing the wheel for each and every project. That was really time consuming and overwhelming. Now, the issue with this model is when you need customization. What if your theme doesn't have the options you want? Well, previously the only way to deal with this was through plugins or development. Plugins extend the features of WordPress, and right now on the free repository, there are more than 60,000 free plugins. And of course, you'll also find a lot of premium plugins. But the issue with using many plugins is you can get compatibility issues between the plugins, and also it can slow your website down if you have too many of these, especially if they're poorly coded. Now, the other option was development, but we all know that it can quickly become costly and take more time. So in the last few years, we saw the emergence of website builders. Now, let me give you a quick example. Let's say that I want to add a Google map here. So instead of having to hire someone to install the script, or instead of having to add an additional plugin for that feature alone, I can use a website builder like Spectra, click on the plus sign, locate the Google Maps block, click on it, and voila, I got my Google map. And let's say I want to showcase Los Angeles, and there you go, it only took a few seconds. So in the example I've just shown you, I was using WordPress. The WordPress theme was Astra, but I could have used Spectra 1 or any WordPress theme, and that's the beauty of it. And last but not least, as mentioned, the website builder I was using is Spectra. Now, Spectra is a visual website builder that's built on top of the WordPress core editor. So it's super fast and stable, secure and integrated, and it uses the native WordPress interface. Now, as mentioned in the example I just demonstrated, I was using the WordPress Astra theme. Now, I could have used any WordPress theme. Now, just as a side note to avoid confusion, here on screen you see Spectra 1. And Spectra 1 is a WordPress theme. So basically it's what WordPress needs to display your website. Whereas Spectra is the visual website builder, the drag and drop tool that you just saw. Next, why was Spectra created? So as we saw in the old way of building websites with WordPress, customization wasn't ideal, and the solution came through website builders. Now that was great, but people started realizing that it came with some drawbacks. First of all, some of these builders come with speed issues, and that's simply because it comes with a whole new layer of rules, logic, and features on top of the WordPress core editor. Next, some of these builders come with compatibility issues, because while the builder itself may work great, it may have compatibility issues with other plugins. And if you're using a lot of plugins, it may be hard to troubleshoot when an issue arises. And next, it comes with a deeper learning curve. Because if you want to use WordPress, you need to know the basics of WordPress, but now you need to learn another set of rules coming from a different team of developers with a different vision and more than likely a different direction. And while that may be no issue for advanced users, it may be overwhelming if you're getting started. Now, another reason that Spectra was created is the WordPress editor. Now wait, I just told you one of the reasons was the third-party website builders. Well, it's the same for the WordPress editor, because here are some of the drawbacks. First, it comes with a limited selection of blocks. The Spectra, on the other hand, come with many handy blocks, like the Google Maps block that we just saw previously, the icon list, the Lottie animation, the marketing button, and much more. And one of the most important ones, the container. But we'll talk about that in a moment. Next, the WordPress editor is limited when it comes to layout options. So this is the default WordPress editor. Let's say I want to add a new layout. Yes, I can add columns. So I can choose my 3 columns, but that's about it. Whereas with Spectra, I can click here on the plus sign, add a new container, and boom, here are all the options. And actually, this is just the tip of the iceberg, because Spectra is using what is called the Flexbox model, which, as the name implies, allows for way more flexibility. For example, here in just one click, I can change the direction of the content. I can place it at the top, in the middle, at the bottom, which is something you can do with the WordPress core editor at the time of recording this video. And if you want to know all about Flexbox with Spectra, just watch our crash course right here on YouTube. Of course, after you finish watching this video. Next, the WordPress editor has limited creative options, because basically the options are to edit the pages, whereas Spectra comes with template kits. And when you click on template kits, you can either import pages, and we'll see that in a moment. So you have premium pages and free pages. Next, you have patterns, and think of patterns as reusable blocks. So here you have a hero section, a product and services section, a feature section, and if you scroll down, we have banners, call to actions, and much more. So this can be a good starting point. Now, last but not least, wireframes. And what wireframes allow you to do is to build a layout, but without the design component. So that allows to focus on the structure first, but without wasting a lot of time. And once you're ready, you can just go into design phase. Change the fonts, change the colors, and add images. Next, the WordPress editor comes with limited mobile responsive features. So for example, here I'm using the WordPress editor. I can go into preview and go into mobile mode. But let me select this paragraph and let me make it XXL in terms of size. Now let me go back into desktop mode, and it's still huge. So if I change it to medium, now let's go back into mobile, and it's back in medium. So I can't really control what I want to do based on device. Whereas with Spectra, for example, let me add a heading block. So here we're in desktop mode. Now here at the top with Spectra, you have mobile responsive components. So right now I'm in tablet mode, and I can go into mobile mode. So with my heading selected, let me go to Style, Typography, and let me make it really small. And by the way, let's center it. I know it's too small, but you'll understand why. Now let me go back into tablet mode, and you see it's big again. And let's go back into desktop mode, and here is the original size. And it's aligned on the left-hand side. So one more time, let's go into mobile mode. And as you can see, it's tiny and aligned in the middle. So with Spectra, you have total control on what you want to show based on the device. Next, another benefit of using Spectra is that it's built on top of Gutenberg, which is the other name for the WordPress core editor. And that means speed, compatibility with all themes, and compatibility with all plugins, because it was made for the core editor. Next, getting started with Spectra. If you're just getting started, the easiest way is to start importing and edited content. So to install Spectra in WordPress, go to Plugins, Add New. Then in the search bar, just type Spectra, click on Install Now, and activate. And when that's done, you'll be redirected to the Spectra dashboard. And here you can access the knowledge base, get 5-star support, or join the community. Also, if you click on the block extensions tab, you can activate or deactivate blocks and extensions. And last but not least, if you go to the settings tab, you will find pretty self-explanatory settings. But you can also just leave it as default, which is exactly what we're going to do for this tutorial. Next, you want to go to Pages, Add New. Next, let's give it a name. And let's click on the little I because we want to hide the title from the front end. Next, click on Template Kits. And let's scroll down until we find a page that we like. And let's pick that one. So here we have 3 different layouts, actually 3 different pages: About Us, Contact, or Home. Let's pick Home. So let me click on it and click on Import Home Template. And we get a prompt telling us it has a dynamic widget. We don't need that, so click on Skip and Import Homepage. All right, let's scroll, and next we can open the document overview. So here you can see all our structure. This is our main container, second container, third container, and so on. As you click on it, it gets to the right container. Let's just deal with the first one. And once again, the container block is exclusive to Spectra, and it's very convenient, especially to control the spacing, but we'll see that in a moment. So let's start editing. So with our container selected, I'm just going to close this, and here you see I have 3 tabs. I have the General tab, and it contains subtabs. I can use presets, which I'm not going to use now. Then I have the container subtab, and here I can decide on the content width, the content height. So for example, for the minimum height for this section, let me click on the VH unit, and I'm just gonna drag the slider and make it shorter, as you can see. But let's put it back to 100. Let's close this. Next, we have the flex properties, and as I showed you earlier, in one click you can just change the direction, change the alignment, and so on. Okay, let's close this. Next, you have the style tab. And here in the style tab, as the name says, you can mess up with the style of the element you're trying to edit. So here we have an image, but as you can see in type, you could have chosen color. Then you have a color palette. You can just select a plain color, or you have gradient, video, or as in the imported page, we have an image. Now, when it comes to the image, you have the default position, or you can play with a custom position, but let's put it back to default. And if we scroll, we have more self-explanatory options. Like here, for example, we've added an overlay, but we could have said we don't want any overlay. Next, you have the color sub-tab, where you can change the text color. You have the border. You can add box shadow, shape dividers. So for example, let's say that at the bottom, we want to add mountains. Here are the mountains. You can change the color, and there you go. So let me scroll down, and as you can see, here are mountains. Next, we can control the spacing, and remember, this is a container block. So for this one, the padding is 0 all around, but let's say I want 100, as you can see. Here I have 100 on top. If I click on the little link icon here, it's going to set it for all sides, top, right, bottom, and left. And as we saw previously, I can use the responsive controls and say when I'm in tablet mode, I want to change those values. And let's say I want 70 pixels on all sides. And the same goes for the margin, which is the space that you find outside of the selected container, whereas the padding is the spacing that you find inside of the container. Now let's go into mobile mode. And once again, here we can play with the values if we want to. So let me unlink the values, and instead of 25, I'm gonna go for 20. Actually, no, 25 was better. Okay, let's close this. And now we move on to the Advanced tab, which, as the name suggests, comes with advanced options like animations, display conditions. So for example, you could say, depending on the user state or the user role or the browser, you want or do not want to display this section. Let's close this. Next, you have responsive conditions. So you can decide, okay, I want to hide this tablet on the desktop. And now if we go back into desktop mode, as you can see, it's grayed out. And if you publish the page, it won't appear because we've said we want to hide it on the desktop. So as you can see, you really have a granular control. Next, you have the Z index. And if you don't know what it is, you probably don't need it, but just think of it of a number of priority for a layer. And if you click on advanced within advanced, you have even more advanced stuff like HTML anchor and additional CSS classes. But that's for another video. So back to style. Here, let's change our image. So it's going to open the media library. You can either upload files by dragging and dropping, or clicking on select files, or click on the media library. I already have that image, so I'm just going to select it, and there you go. And now I can start playing with the various elements. Here I can just change the text, but first of all, it's not really readable, so let me put it on the right hand side. And then let's write some lorem ipsum love. Let's align the elements on the right. Now with my button selected, I can edit the button. Let's say I want a rounded button preset, and voila, done in just one click. So as you can see, importing and editing content is pretty easy with Spectra. Next, creating a simple hero section. So in WordPress, you want to go to Pages, Add New. Let's give it a title, and let's click on the little eye icon so that it doesn't show on the front end. Next, I'm going to click on the plus sign to add a container. So let me click on container, and it's going to ask me which structure do I want. So let's pick this one. Now here you want to make sure that you select the container, and actually the main containers, because here you can see we have two containers, but those are within a big container. So to select elements, you can just click on the elements. But if you want to be sure, once again, click on the document overview. So here we have our container selected, and if I expand, you can see I have two containers, which are the two that you see here. So first of all, let's play with the main container. So in the side panel, let's go to container, and where it says minimum height, you want to click on VH, which is a unit, and give it a value of 100. And now for the content width, you want to make it full width. Next, click on the style tab, and where it says background, you want to select image, change image, and just select the image of your choice. Great. Next, I want to add a Spectra block. So here in the second subcontainer, you can see a plus sign. Click on it. I'm just going to start typing call to action, and as you can see, it's this one here with the blue color. So let me click on it. And just as a side note, as I showed you previously, I could have clicked here on the plus sign, scroll down to where I see call to action, and as you can see, it's in the Spectra section, and click on it, and the same would have happened. So let me close this. Next, with my call to action selected, and if you want to be sure, you can always look here on the side panel on top. It tells you on which element you are working. So this is the call to action. So for example, I could go to where it says button, change the button style, then I can just double click on the text and change it to buy now, for example. And if I want to link from this button to another page, here I can just scroll to where it says link, remove the pound sign, and paste a URL. Now for the sake of this tutorial, I'm just going to paste an external link, but of course you could paste here the link of another page on your website. Next, you can decide whether or not you want to show it in the same window or in a new window, and whether or not you want an icon. Cherry on the cake, you can even change the icon and select the one you want in the icon library. Great, let's close this. Now let's go to style, and let's change the color of our heading. Let's make it white, and let's change the color of our description. And let's also make it white. You can even change the size of the text. Now, last but not least, let's select our main container, then go to style. Let's scroll down to where it says overlay, and let's add a gradient overlay. Click on gradient, and now you can select the colors individually. Let's pick this color, and for the second one, let's make it completely transparent. And here you can change the angle. You want it to go in this direction, and so on. So let's pick this one. And voila, let's publish our work. And now if I go to the front end, and if I click on our Buy Now button, if you recall, it should take us to the Spectra website. So let's click on it. And there you go. Next, adapting for tablet and mobile. So building up on our previous example, let me open the document overview and make sure my main container is selected. Next, let me go to Style and scroll down to where it says Spacing. So right now it has a padding of 10 pixels all around, which I found is way too small. Because here, for example, the button is way too close to the edge. So we can either give it the same value all around, like 60 pixels, or we can unlink the values by clicking on the link icon. And now we can give individual values. So here I put 40 on top, 60 on the right, 40 at the bottom, and 60 on the left. So that looks already way better. Now let's take a look at the tablet version. So let's go into tablet mode. And here, okay, I can work with the padding, but let me align those elements. So let me select my call to action. And once again, I can check it here or in the document overview. Then let me go to General, Layout, and here the overall alignment is in the center. Let's put it on the right hand side, and there you go. Next, let's change this image position. So once again, let's open the document overview, select our container, then go to Style, Background, and let's change the position of the image. Okay, much better. Now let's scroll down to spacing, and here once again the padding is way too narrow. So let's give it 40 on top, 60 on the right hand side, 40 at the bottom, and 40 pixels on the left hand side. Maybe 60 on the right hand side was too much. And don't forget, when it's the same value, what you can do is just link them together, and as you change it, it's going to adapt and give you the same values all around. Okay, great, let's move on to the mobile. And now that looks great, but there seems to be too much padding on the sides. But if we do the same thing, so selecting container, going to style, padding, it seems there is only 10 pixels all around. But now let's select our second subcontainer, which is where our call to action is. There is also 10 pixels padding all around, so let's make it 0. So that is to show you that you can control spacing at various levels. Now let's scroll back up. Now don't forget to update your work. And now if we go back to the front end, this is what we had, and this is what we have now with proper padding. And as we saw, we can adapt the padding for the tablet and for the mobile, as well as any element like a title or paragraph size in a Spectra block. Building websites can be intimidating at first, even with amazing tools like WordPress. So if you want a user-friendly solution to build fast, beautiful, and professional websites in no time, why not give this Spectra website builder a try? It's free, and of course you'll find the link in the description below. Now I'm curious, which type of website are you planning to build with Spectra? Please let us know in the comments below.